Sorry, my bad. Take a right, go down 2 blocks. I didn't know. Hi, thank you for tuning in to That's the Setup podcast. I'm your host, Sharika Duncan, a new author of the Setup novel. Check me out on Instagram at Sharika Duncan and on Facebook as Sharika Duncan Author or my website, sharikaduncan.com.
Hello.
Hello there. Good evening, Roland.
Good evening, Sharika. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you feeling today?
I'm getting a lot better. I was under the weather for a few days. With this weather and time change, my body couldn't handle it.
Tell me about it. We're transitioning into that fall weather.
Uh-huh.
I'm preparing for that time change. I'm looking forward to it, though.
I'm not a fan of fall. Not at all. It's very melancholy. It's just real sad and dreary. Just brings me down.
Yes, I understand. That fall back means it's dark earlier. So you get an extra hour of sleep. That's what I'm excited about. Roland, tell me about who Roland Mayhew is.
Oh, well, it's I don't know if time will permit, but let's just give a brief overview of who I am, as in general, or to Excellence Dance Studio.
As in general to your personal endeavors for That's the Setup podcast.
Okay. I'm Roland Mayhew, and I'm from Pompano Beach, Florida. And I am a friend of Sharika Duncan, and I'm also on her team with Excellence Dance Studio as a board member and
Woo-hoo!
also as a hi. And I'm also on her team for marketing and promoting her new book that's coming out.
Yes.
Sharika, yeah. So if you didn't know, you guys, Miss Sharika Duncan, who's already an entrepreneur, she has Excellence Dance Studio, nonprofit organization she's had for over 10 years. She's a model. She's an actress. She's a multi-talented woman. And for some reason, she was able to find some time to actually write a book that is coming out very, very soon.
Yes, ma'am. And I truly appreciate that beautiful introduction. And I hope I do you well and don't disappoint you in that lineup.
You're not, but you will disappoint our fans if you don't answer this one question.
Yes, go ahead, darling.
Won't you tell everybody what the setup is?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I've been waiting to just get that question asked to me because that's a setup right there, Roland. It could mean anything in particularly how the day went and in terms of if I experienced a bad energy in my midst going out throughout my day. So the setup is actually a metaphor as to what is in front of me, what is behind me, who is bucking and who is actually submitting themselves of being a good spirit, a good Samaritan in our cruel, cruel world. So, I mean, in terms of what the setup is in this particular era, I feel like it's strategizing how we deal in our day to day.
Okay, that's pretty in depth. But how does that relate to the book that you got coming out? And would you like to elaborate a little bit on that book, please?
Oh, gosh, you want me to tell some secrets?
Yeah,
Why
just
not?
so
Why
that I'm
not?
sure everybody's like, what book? When did she write a book? What's the book about? What's the name of the book?
Yes. Well, I must say that The Setup is a fiction memoir about some characters I had going through my head in terms of someone who has dealt with trauma I feel like we all have dealt with sadness, in particularly in our day to day, in terms of like natural disaster, losing a loved one, or just being disappointed by whatever, losing a job. So the setup novel is pretty much a fiction driven by several characters going through tragedy.
So
And
you call it a novel, and it's not a book; it's a novel.
I call it a novel, darling. Yes, yes. Because it is beautifully written in terms of having an interest for every person, in terms of that person who wants that juicy drama, or that person who loves those romance novels like Zane, or someone who just needs to be a conscious person who wants to speak some knowledge and shed some light in a dark world. So this book actually embraces poetry as well. So I'm hoping everyone would definitely take heed to it and hopefully enjoy it.
Okay. I know
Yeah,
I'm gonna get me a copy of that book, right? Or the novel. I'm gonna let my friends know about it too, so we can get a copy of it, so we could all read it. Maybe we could start a book club.
oh
Maybe.
yes, that book club. See, you are. That's why you're my marketing director. Exactly. So
All you people out there,
we're
they hear it. You gotta get together, get buy this novel, and talk about it, and give her feedback and support. Come on, guys.
yes, and I can't wait. We're counting down the days to pre-orders coming up, and once those pre-orders hit, we're gonna have that book tangible in your hand as a nice holiday gifting.
Now, can people start pre-ordering now, or is it hasn't the time hasn't approached yet?
The time has not approached based on, I'm just, how we are. We're just putting all that, the T's across and the dots are actually in the place where they need to be. So November 23rd is our target goal, and we are set to hit it. Yes, we are.
Okay. Let's see if we have a little bit more time left. Kind of tell us what made you want to write a book, Sharika. You're so busy. Every time I turn around, you're working on a new project. You have ongoing projects. You have two beautiful kids. You have a full-time job. What made you want to write a book? And when did you find the time to do so?
Correct. And everyone, I must say that we all get the same amount of time per day. I do agree with you. And it's how we utilize our time. And in my defense, after I kind of, that bucket list, I have this bucket list with some items inside of it, and just crossing them out. And this is an item that was actually in that bucket list. And I blog, I blog on in my spare time. I blog for one of the local newspapers online called Rika Epiphanies. And in that blogging, I realized those epiphanies were actually enlightening, when I received feedback from my listeners. And it pretty much turned into something that was 4 years in submission. And I realized that, it couldn't stop there. I must actually provide a legacy, something, that I could look after or someone else could have when I'm long gone from here.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yes, so we need a voice, and that is a platform that is pretty much something that we could actually start the dialogue to discuss. Things to look for in that book are different topics. I mean, the setup could consist of, someone dealing with, death. That is a sad time in someone's life, and how you deal with death. You can look at it in a positive light, or as someone may say, that loved one that has long gone can now be an angelic symbol for them, like their guardian angel, someone who thinks the glass is half full. But you have other people who may not have that type of perception, and they may think that the world is ending, it's World War Z, and they get depressed and suicidal. They start to use different things to numb their pain, and in a negative light, by alcohol, drugs, um, even sex. I mean, people do things to themselves to numb that feeling, to not address the initial problem.
Yeah, that's true. Mm.
So yeah, we gotta definitely have a discussion. It's pretty much a product that would shed light on a lot of us if we're being sincere with each other, and understand in our day to day as a child in the adolescence, was those type of things inspired in the family household to discuss tragedy. Sometimes, families are just put together in different ways. Some families don't hug one another and say I love you. Some families actually do. So it's just a diversified, structure in the family household. So how do someone heal if they haven't been taught to heal properly? Because they don't teach you that in public school.
I mean, I know that for myself, for a long time, um, I didn't go around hugging people because it's just not what was hot. That just wasn't a vibe. And it's not because I'm not a hugger. It's just that the environment I'm in, at one time I tried to hug a girl, just say congratulations to her. I don't remember for what. It was probably like in high school. And she kind of gave me one of those hugs that looking back on be like, man, that's a phony chick right there. They kind of give you like this half hug situation. It just made you feel really uncomfortable, like you did
Mm-hmm.
something wrong,
Right.
and
Right.
so it wasn't the norm. So you start to develop um a different perspective, like, okay, maybe hugging is not cool,
Mm-hmm.
when in fact there's nothing wrong with hugging. There's nothing wrong with telling somebody you care, or you support them. There's nothing wrong with that, but society sometimes will make you feel ashamed for doing the right thing or being the right person, and so you fall victim to other things that lead down a path where you have to numb certain feelings like you speak of. And numbing those feelings, you end up being on drugs, or like you said, you end up being a sex addict, you end up being a compulsive liar. I mean, it's just too much to name right now.
Correct. And all of those things were it started from a source of pain, a source of feeling that you don't want to address. It made you feel vulnerable. It made you feel uncomfortable. So therefore, you'll go to something that makes you feel comfortable, that allows you to forget about it, the initial problem. So yeah, I do agree. Those things I consider are a setup in how we go about our lives. We are put in setup situations at all times. Is how we choose to, to make decisions, lead us
Uh-huh.
down the path of destruction or the path of success. So how did I have time to write a novel? It's because I set myself up for success. So for me to be able to have a clear conscience and know that, okay, Love and Hip Hop is on at 8 whatever p.m., whatever channel that might consist of, or Real Housewives, okay, I have other options, but yet I chose to document a story that could help myself and others to heal and to know that you're not alone.
Okay, so this novel, which is called A Setup, who are your main targets? Who do you want to read this book? Is it a family book? Is it a woman's book? Is it a man's book? Or is it a book for everyone?
Now, I kid you not. That is a great, great question you present to me, and I must say that it is not for everyone. No,
Mhm.
no. It can be with the right conscious set of mind, but it is not for a child under the age of 15. I say 15 because I know, dealing with the youth in our youth programs, we see a lot. We see a lot of situations that children are forced to be placed in, unfortunately, at a young age. And I will baseline this novel appropriate for a 15-year-old and above because they have believe it or not, some parents are naive to think that, oh no, not my child, but they have been in positions that have been proposed of sex, or smoking weed, or having a buzz off of alcohol, or skipping school. I'm dropping my child off at high school, and I see her friends going the opposite way from where the bell rung, and my child, who is in my car, is very upset looking at her friend making wrong decisions, and trying to be a positive influence in her life by saying, why, come back, you're a student, why are you going off campus to meet with a boy when after the bell rings? So those are the ages that I feel like need to understand that they're not alone. And also all the way up into the middle age class, in terms of, let me back up and say the college student who may be in school and who may have been propositioned from the professor who is, teaching the lecture at the moment to engage in sex activities for that A on that midterm exam. I mean, we have a real life serious issue in our community, and I feel like it's no time to just hide it under the rug.
Okay.
So I do feel like that book is an adult book for that population, because I chose to not to make it light. I wanted it to be a lot of texture in the book. I needed to go there. I needed it to be raw. And I needed it to be a book that I know was completely consistent and a great representation of what I foresaw. So therefore, I needed it to not to be sugar coated, so that the toddler that I may know in a preschool setting could read it. No, it is not for that genre of age. We needed it to address it is the upper age group that need the healing in terms of holding on to all of that old secrets, that traumatized experience, in our day to day.
Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff, Sharika.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl, I just can't wait.
Right.
Because
I
I know you personally, and I know that you have a very colorful mind. And I just can't wait to see how that transferred onto paper.
That particularly, I do agree, and this book is definitely it will entertain you. It has some, comedy. It has a lot of you know, rated R content, and it also deals with sadness. So we will take you through that emotional roller coaster ride in terms of how people are treated dealing with struggles and that pain in those different circumstances. So all entail, to me, consists of different setup situations.
Great. Why don't you let our listeners know exactly what to expect from this setup podcast that's going to be airing every Sunday at 7 p.m.?
Yes, I am so excited, because that's the setup right there. That is the setup for this platform, to bring about these topics in live mode, in terms of some of the snippets from the novel, in terms of speaking with our listeners, having them be our guests on the show, so that we can get some professional help on the line if needed, and just have a dialogue of discussion, so we don't have to end up throwing knuckles and ending up in hands behind our back going to jail, because we're so passionate about our views to the point where we release it in anger and get in a whole world of trouble. No, we're going to use our tongue to speak truth and light in each other in a positive manner. That's the setup.
Okay.
Yes, that's the setup, Roland. And I appreciate you as my co-host. I know that it will be just plentiful to discuss. I
So
know that it will.
y'all know what to expect when you log on Sundays to hear us speak. Y'all want to know what the setup is, and we're gonna give it to you. Sharika's
Yeah.
got a box with a hole at the bottom that's full of stuff from the setup that she would like to share with y'all. So, make sure you support us. We're not just doing this for ourselves because we have nothing else to do, but we're doing it to support one another and to reach out to the community, because all this, again, ties back to Excellence Dance Studio, which, again, is a nonprofit organization where we teach children how to be successful, how to be confident in life. There's different types of program. I'll let Sharika touch on some of those programs. Sharika?
Yes, and particularly, we need for everyone to definitely follow this podcast. Roland will tell you her podcast channel, and that Excellence Dance Studio is our community effort. That is the outlet for family-oriented discussions. So it is not age restricted in the Excellence Dreamers Cafe. We have a great, great platform forming, and our current topic for the Dreamers Cafe, we are going to discuss the different challenges that we deal in our day-to-day pertaining to education and sports, our academics, and correlating it with sports, like which one is priority for the actual the coach, the actual teacher, the educator, and also that recruiter who is scouting out talent, like, and the actual parent who have an actual conflict with putting books before that camp, that actual basketball one-to-one drill camp. Which one is important? That exam preparation or this one-on-one different scout camps for their child to get a football scholarship, basketball scholarship? I mean, that is a hot topic, Roland.
And that's what we do. We talk about hot topics. That's what we got.
Yes, and I'm excited to get that growing, because we're actually going to try to hopefully package that together and make sure we're very consistent and thorough in our delivery. And just stay in tune to us. We are going to give us a great platform of discussion, and we want you guys to join in that effort. Excellence is pretty much a wholesome, family-oriented program. It starts from dealing with the children, understanding who they are as an individual. Okay, it's not us trying to put something on to whatever it is that they already have going on. No, how can we just identify a soul and just put 1 2 8 count dance routine or model strut on a person when we don't even know what that person just came from? We don't know how that environment that they live in consists of, if they have lights or food in the refrigerator. We don't know if that child is being molested by a family member or a friend. So therefore, we get to know the individual and understand who they are at that point of time. And we get a relationship forming between the parent and our leadership along with that child, and just gain the expectations that they have for their youth. And we try to just hammer and drill down some values and some character development skills and monitor their academics and give them the success tips to be successful and believe in themselves while showing them some talent and watching them soar. That's pretty much what excellence is. Do you agree, Roland?
Wholeheartedly.
Yes, yes. So Roland, like, enough of excellence. We are at that's the setup right now, honey. And I want to set something up right now for dialogue between you and I. And anyone who wants to dive in, just pretty much chime in, call in to us and leave us your feedback. We are looking forward to hearing from you. In particularly, I want to just, if we can, talk about how relationships are being handled in our current adult life. And if you think back to as a child, relationships